and now it's all coming.
Bruce, we are Change Colorado here, and we're at a screening of GMO OMG, one of my favorite films that I've seen. I've probably seen it 4 or 5 times maybe, and it doesn't really get old because it inspires me on how balanced this film is. And I'm with the filmmaker Jeremy Seifert. It's great to meet you. Pleasure to to really be inspired by you, not only just GMO OMG, but your first film, Dive. And Dive goes into lots of companies make their food dates a little bit early. It's because they have liabilities. They don't want to get people sick, and so they end up throwing away lots of food. And Dive goes into how you can just go and take their food out of the dumpster, put it in your freezer, and cook it when you need to. So give us a little bit of background on what inspires you to make these 2 films, Dive and GMO OMG. And just like, a little bit about your family as well, because they're the main pieces of your movies.
Yeah. Well, I think with both films, I was inspired just by seeing that there was an issue. So with Dive, I was dumpster diving for about 2 years, and so I saw the food waste every single night, and I decided to make a film about it because I realized that although it was nice for us dumpster divers to get that food, there were many nights and many dumpsters where that food went to the landfills, and I really didn't know how big the issue was, and so it was through making the film that I explored the issue. GMO OMG was similar because I read a small article that came out of Haiti about 10,000 rural farmers marching in the streets against Monsanto's gift that they gave Haiti. And at the time, I didn't understand why farmers would march and commit to burning seeds from Monsanto. And so I went to Haiti to explore that and found out that the new reality of the world is that we are being fed by chemical companies, and most of us don't know this, but we are eating GMOs because they aren't labeled. And now we have these state initiatives. Proposition 37 in California was shot down by millions upon millions of dollars coming from the industry. Then I-522 in Washington, also millions of dollars pumped in. And now we have the biggies, Oregon and Colorado. And I guess I heard that already $14 million has been put to the no on 105 in Colorado. All money from out of state.
Of course. And so if anyone remembers the video, GMA is lobbying to stop us from getting GMO labels. Monsanto presented this morning, Google's here, GE's here. The GMA had their first leadership forum where they brought in Monsanto and Google and all these big companies to really plan how they would spend their money. That was back at the end of August. Now we've seen TV ads coming in a rocket. I ended up getting arrested in a bee costume because there was no one else going to do it except for me. And so one of the things that I've also done is we're planning the Colorado Label GMO Festival. It's this upcoming Sunday. We got 20 performance artists, live music, poetry, live painters, an amazing night coming ahead. So we're really trying to build the culture, and what we've kind of already decided is, irregardless of what happens with this election, what we're doing and what you're doing is we're raising awareness. There's going to be more local farmers. There's going to be more people inspired to have courage to talk about this with their neighbors. There's less pesticide usage. There's more people actively being the change by growing food. That's really the most revolutionary thing we can do, is grow food and spread experiences and truth with people. Is there something else? Can you give us a little hint at maybe what you're working on next on the next film?
Oh man, I don't know yet. I mean, this film has been carrying me all across the country. I went to Vermont, Oregon, now here. I mean, I am working on some other things. I've just got many irons in the fire, and I don't know exactly what that's going to be. But for right now, and for tonight, and for this, you're right. I mean, this ultimately is about wakefulness, and I think that if the film doesn't wake people up, or grassroots movements, or all this beautiful activism happening, at the very least, we should be awakened by the fact that these corporations have spent $14 million to defeat a labeling bill just to say, we want to know what's in our food. And these companies who say, this is more sustainable, this is the greatest, latest innovation, it reduces pesticide use, it's so amazing. And yet, why are they spending millions upon millions of dollars to defeat this labeling bill here and in Oregon and in other states? So that, if that doesn't wake people up to the fact that something is wrong, then nothing will.
And if that doesn't wake you up to the fact that you should turn off your TV if you haven't already, most of the people watching this probably already have, but it's time to turn off the TV because we're seeing you know, that's where the minds are changing. People that even support the cause are realizing, oh well, the TV told me what to think, and I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to support it. So we can't let the mainstream media. It's not just the TV, but it's the radio, and they're calling, they're sending out direct stuff. So it just goes to show you what the power that we truly have, and that we're scaring them, kind of like what happened with all the fracking bans that were coming through. We're really scaring those big companies, and so there's many issues. You know, people want to fight against fracking, GMOs. One of my main issues, I want to take out fluoride out of Denver's water. I think that's gonna help wake up people on a massive scale, and it'll be something that'll revolve around the country. You know, other people will start to do it. But there's even other things, like something I wanted to ask you about, and something a lot of people don't know about. I think it's a big blind spot for a lot of people. What do you know about the climate change and the weather modification that's going on, chemtrails or geoengineering? It's a touchy subject, but it's one that I'm not scared to ask, because I see it going on in the Rocky Mountains every single day. And then when it's not happening, I'm really thankful for the blue skies that we have, but it's going on tonight. And it's just something that I saw, like 500 million people went to New York for the climate change march. And it's one of my big things, is I think that we could be pushing the people off of a climate change cliff, as like the old ancient buffalo were hunted off the cliff. I just don't want to march the movement towards a global government climate tax, climate change carbon tax. So any comment on weather modification and that technology?
I guess more of a comment on climate change itself, and a obvious solution. I just worked with Mark Smallwood from Rodale, who walked from Rodale to Washington, D.C. to deliver a report to Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack. And they have years and years of studies, not just at Rodale, but other universities and other programs around the world, that show that with true regenerative organic agriculture, we can sequester carbon back into the soil, and we can do it at the same scale that we're outputting carbon. So if we changed our agriculture in this country, instead of agribusiness and agriscience that's heavy on pesticide use, synthetic fertilizers, tilling, all this stuff, and we reverted that to regenerative organic principles, we could sequester our carbon back in the soil where it belongs. That is an obtainable...
Without a world carbon tax, my friends, because we don't need world government to solve any climate change problems.
That's just by growing our food in a way that is healthier for us, without pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides, and it's regenerating the earth rather than desecrating it.
Awesome. Well, any last comments? I know, you know, that's just one of my main things. I just think that if we're getting sprayed with aluminum and barium and all these different things, where you look up the patents and no one's willing to talk about it, we have to you know, shine light on the darkness. And so, last comments on how we can plug in with you on the movie Dive, on GMO OMG, how we can check out, and then last little comments on your band too, the Jubilee Singers, really great band. Let us know a little bit about them too.
Okay, yeah, the Jubilee Singers. We did music for both Dive and GMO OMG. We've been playing music in Los Angeles for about 7 years together, and now I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, so we're not playing anymore. But yeah, for GMO OMG, we actually rented a cabin in Big Bear and just played. We recorded about 18 hours of music in 2 days, and then I just pieced that into the film all throughout. So that was fun. And the way to stay in touch with me, I guess, the two websites, divethefilm.com, gmofilm.com, and also, you know, those two Facebook pages are great. The most active one right now is the GMO one. So.
All right, well, we're getting GMOs labeled in Colorado and Oregon, and either way, we're growing gardens next spring like we never have before. We got more organic companies sprouting up every day, and more people that are opening up their minds and not letting the TV tell them what to think. Good. So I thank you for what you do,
thank you, man.
And we thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Thanks again from the bottom of my heart. We love you. Bless.